Hey everyone, my name is Emily and this is Lauren. We're two of Festival's dietitians. We're really excited to be coming from our brand new test kitchen.
Yes, we are at our new Green Bay support office and we're so excited to be in this space to share really fun, new, exciting recipes with you each week.
And today we're going to be talking about one of our very favorite fruits, cherries. Yeah, cherries are one of those great warm weather fruits and we really like them because they are packed with nutrition. And when you're picking out cherries, we want to make sure that we're looking for ones that have the stems intact and they aren't shriveled or soft. Those are going to be the ripest cherries.
And they are packed with antioxidants. The rich color really makes them good for us. And what we've done so far with our cherries, as you can see, when you slice up the cherry, there is that pit inside there, so you simply take out the pit and you're good to go. You can pop them in your mouth or serve them in really fun recipes like salads, and that's what we're sharing today.
Yep, definitely. We're making a cherry kale salad with a balsamic vinaigrette.
Yum.
So, should we get started?
Yes, let's talk about kale.
Yeah, kale, everyone's favorite vegetable, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So we just have several cups of chopped kale, and we're gonna kale tends to be more fibrous vegetable, and that's usually why people aren't a huge fan of kale. But we have a special trick to kind of break down all of that fiber. We're actually going to be massaging the kale.
Which sounds really silly, but it does wonders on this kale to give it a little bit more of a texture like, a typical romaine or spinach or something like that, something that's not as tough.
So I actually just poured a little bit of salt on here. I've also massaged kale with an avocado or some dressing before.
That would be really good.
But this really just helps break down some of that fiber in kale. And kale is such a nutritious vegetable.
Oh yeah, and you can just hear it. I mean, that crunching, that's a good thing. And I know a lot of people prefer kale to be cooked, just because when you cook it, it kind of breaks down some of that fiber, but that's kind of what we're mimicking right now. And as you can see, it's already getting a lot softer. And even it's just kind of shrunk down a little bit.
Definitely. And we really like using kale in salads because it is a sturdier green, so it does hold up with the dressing being added.
Yes, nobody likes the soggy salad, so kale is a really good way to avoid that.
This looks good, and it'll continue to soften as we make up our dressing. So do you want to get started on that?
Yeah, so today we're making a balsamic vinaigrette, and really the two components to make a vinaigrette, really simple and stuff that most people have on hand at home, is an oil and an acid. So today we're using olive oil, which is great for dressings, and then we're using a balsamic vinegar. And one thing to look for in the store with balsamic, I've just noticed that they come in so many different varieties and different price points as well. So the best balsamic vinegars typically are the more aged ones.
Sure.
So balsamic vinegar is actually aged in wooden barrels.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So the longer it's aged, kind of like wine,
Sure.
The more of those flavors it takes on from the wooden barrels. So for example, like this is a 20-year aged balsamic vinegar, which is really, really great. It just has more flavor. So the more aged it is, the more flavorful, and can tend to be a little bit more pricey, but definitely worth it because it's something that you're just using a very small amount in recipes, but it adds so much flavor. I
love making homemade vinaigrettes for any type of salad. You can also switch out the balsamic for maybe a white wine vinegar or red wine vinegar, just to add a little bit different flavor.
Yeah, or some sort of citrus or something.
Yes.
Something
Lemon
that's
juice.
just acidic.
Yep.
And then next we're just going to add in some Dijon mustard.
Another great flavor component.
Yeah, so we have the basis to our vinaigrette, and then we're just adding in a couple more things to give it a little bit more flavor. We're also just going to put in a little bit of honey, a little bit of sweetness, balance it out. And then we're going to add in a little bit of black pepper, and then some dried basil.
Super easy. And you could also use a different type of herb. Like you said, we're using dried basil, but I really like to add oregano or rosemary or thyme.
Oh, yeah.
Any of those different dried herbs will add a different
it.
flavor component.
And it's so fragrant, too. And, I mean, it's one thing I think a lot of people forget is that we do kind of eat with the aromas. It's all kind of connected. So the better something smells, the more flavorful it's going to taste.
And yes, we added a little bit of salt to the kale to break it down, but there was no sodium added to this salad dressing. So it's a great option if you do need to eat a heart healthy or you are watching your sodium intake.
Yeah, because a lot of the bottled salad dressings do tend to have a lot of sodium. So this is a great way to make something really simple at home. And what I'm doing here is just whisking it up. It takes a couple seconds to get it all whisked so that it's no longer separated. So just be patient. Really got to get that oil and that vinegar
to emulsify.
You got it.
All right,
well, pretty good.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'll get started with our other additions. Like we said, we're gonna make a cherry kale salad, so obviously we need cherries. We've just pitted these and cut them in half.
Just love that color.
Adds some great color.
They're so pretty.
We're also adding some fresh blueberries.
Add some nice sweetness.
And then some diced Granny Smith apple, just for a little bit of tang.
Just love all those fruits, especially
colors.
when mixed together.
And then we're gonna add our turkey bacon, just for a little salty component.
And this is pre-cooked, so all we had to do was chop it up.
Super simple.
Really easy.
But it adds a lot of flavor. And then our last ingredient is a little bit of chopped pecans for another crunch factor.
Yeah, it's good to have different textures in there. You know, we've got the crunch of the apples, the crunch of the pecans, and then some softer fruits like the cherries.
Definitely. And the fruit and the nuts work so well together in salads. Adds a lot of different flavors.
Perfect. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pour in our dressing, and then Emily will have you toss it together.
Just so colorful.
And this is a great salad to use as a side dish. It's great to bring to parties or gatherings. It's great to pair with something very basic, so a very basic protein, like a grilled chicken breast, baked chicken breast, salmon, some sort of other fish.
Just some up.
Or good on its own for a meal.
Yeah. Serving it in larger portions would be great for a plant-based lunch or a light entree.
Oh, yes. And good leftovers, too. This is going to store better because...
because of the sturdier kale.
You got it. And what I'm going to do, too, is I'm just going to add a little bit of feta. Now, this is an optional step. You could also add, you know, like goat cheese or something like that, just to give it a little extra salty flavor.
All right.
Give it a try. Got to get a good piece on there.
Yum, so fresh and flavorful.
Could be used on so many different things. Well, we hope you give this fresh take on cherries a try.
And remember, you can always eat well with festival foods.